Alright, so let's talk about it. Talk about what? Well, after last week, we are officially 3-0. Undefeated. For the first time in school history. Granted, it's only 3 games, but we've actually matched last year's win total already in just 3 games. 3-0 as opposed to 3-9. And those 3 games have been against Arizona, Iowa, and North Carolina in that order. You know, pretty decent football schools. So we're in an awkward spot in a way. And this is really playing devil's advocate here, but going into this UMass game, we're actually being hailed as the heavy favorites, not just favorites, heavy favorites. Kirk Herbstreit, I saw, was touting us as the 40-point favorite. He said place your big bets on us. Obviously nobody's actually, the betting lines aren't 40, but the betting lines are insane. There's a lot of money on this game, even though it's only a little UMass versus Olympia game. But and that would be great and all. Honestly, I think we can win this game. I think we will win this game. We've really showed that we can stick it out against tough teams, and UMass, no discredit to them, but I think UMass we match up with well on paper, and our scheme has just been so dominant that I think we'll win this. I don't know if I'd say handily, but here's where things start to get dicey. Obviously, complacency is a thing, and I don't think we'll drop into complacency, but we've had 3 players officially get ruled out for this game. They've gotten suspensions. One of them not for the full game, but we'll talk about that. Antoine Bean, who actually ended up being the hero from last game. So word on the street is it's not taught that you intercept the ball on Hail Marys, you swat the ball down. And so, he was the hero. He intercepted the ball, and we're all like, we got a takeaway. We never get takeaways. Game over, yay. Coaches weren't happy with that, and they told him that, and they're like, Antoine, you made a great play, but remember, you could have lost the game just as easily if you didn't catch the ball there. Just swat it down. And apparently he exploded, so they're citing attitude issues as his 1-game suspension. Similarly, Lance Roach is actually getting an attitude suspension for the whole game, and I can only assume this is because of his reduced role this year. He's been the number 1 wide receiver on the depth chart, but he hasn't gotten the ball as much. We just haven't thrown it to his way as much, and hasn't been as big of a part of our offense. So I think he's just frustrated. I want to give him another chance. And then Atari Mason's going to be sitting out, and this is mind-boggling, for the first 3 quarters against UMass. May sit out the 4th too, depending on what coach thinks. And all they were citing was team rules on him, and I'm just scratching my brain. He seems like such a genuine and good kid. It's hard to figure out what he did that could warrant those quarters of suspension. So where does that leave us? Well, I still think we win this game. I really do. And it's crazy to think we could be 4-0 going into conference play. Almost already bowl eligible. And possibly ranked. I mean, we're not receiving any votes yet, but hey, maybe we could be ranked if we beat UMass. Definitely fringe top 25 wouldn't be bad. Which is insane. That's insane. I'm just worried about the complacency, and I hope this isn't just a stroke of mad luck. And I know it's probably not, but anyway. So I've actually gotten one of our guest stars for this week's show for the midweek analysis of our team. I've gotten a super fan from the Park City area. And in fact, let's go ahead and just roll it over to the interview. Alright, let's roll the tape. So we've actually got Superfan, and you may have seen him in the comments. He's John Smith in the comments. This is Superfan John Smith here from Park City, Utah. John, you are on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And I just kind of want to ask you the first question here is, how did you become a fan of Olympia football? Because from what I know, you've been living in Park City, and we haven't had a team until a year ago. So how did you become a fan?
So I've been good friends with Eric Cook, the head coach, for a long time. As a local resident here in the greater Salt Lake area, I live in Park City. When I heard Olympia, one of our local schools just down the road from me was starting up a football program. And when I heard the news that they decided to pick my good friend Eric to be the head coach, I couldn't help but throw my full weight in support behind the Olympia Raiders because they're starting almost from scratch. I mean, there's almost no fan base. The local residents here, they either support BYU, which is down the road as well, or obviously the big school, the dominant state school here, Utah Utes. And so I just wanted to show my support for Eric. I know how confident and intelligent he is. I know how hardworking he is. And to start a football program from scratch, that's not something that's easy. So I wanted to be as much help as I could to. I wanted to give as much help as I could to my friend, and I actually became a booster, and I'm so happy to see the success that they're having.
Right on. So for my next question, Olympia went 3-9 last year in their very first season of FBS football, and has already matched that win total this year, going 3-0 across 3 much higher ranked teams. How do you see this season so far, and what are your breakdowns and thoughts on this season?
You know, our first season, our inaugural season last year, there were a lot of up and downs. Coach Eric had to, come in. He had to set a philosophy, set a new system, set a culture, just get everything running from the ground up. And that I saw Eric weekly, and I saw how taxing that was on him. But even though they had 3 wins, I think that exceeded our expectations. There were a lot of games they played against really good opponents where we kept up with them, and it wasn't maybe till the end when the game became lost. But this season has greatly exceeded our expectations by far, and it's amazing to see the people of the Salt Lake City greater area coming behind Coach Eric and the team and Atari. To see them just rattle off these wins against Arizona, Iowa, UNC established football programs, to see them not only compete but almost sometimes even dominate them, it's just incredible. And I think we should give Eric a lifetime contract.
All right, and so my last question, and I already talked about this, but I'll go ahead and reiterate it for you. We have 3 breaking news suspensions for the game against UMass. The first one, Antoine Bean. So you made a comment about him not swatting down the ball and how essentially that could have been a dangerous thing, and that is actually how they are taught. And so when approached about this, he basically had some attitude and said, well, I won us the game, so I don't have to do that. He will be suspended for the entire UMass game. Lance Roach, similarly, will be suspended for another attitude issue. I'm assuming it's because he's had a bit of a rough season so far. Not sure. Finally, Atari Mason will actually be suspended for 3 quarters against UMass, and they've only cited team rules. They haven't given us any information yet. What are your thoughts on all this?
I see. That's very interesting. At least with Antoine's case, I think he can take this experience to be kind of a learning experience. I think he made an absolutely great play, but that could have almost ended in disaster. But it's something, he's a young guy. I think it's something he can learn from. As far as Ari's concerned, I'm very, very surprised. I know this young man really well. I know him on a personal level, and for him to be suspended, it's something that must have been, his actions not warranted. That reprimand must have been something so out of character. But I fully trust Eric. I'm sure it was a hard decision Eric had to make to, I guess, reprimand his almost star quarterback who's carried this team through the victories they have. And as far as Lance is such a great receiver. He's so crafty. He finds a way to get open. He was probably one of the bright lights in the inaugural season last year. I do think he's having a little bit of a tough time this year, just because so many of our offensive players are just excelling. I believe last game, UNC, we had maybe like 8 or 9 different receivers catch the ball, and Lance has to compete with that, and I don't think he's quite up to that task yet. But it's something that's also a learning experience for him. And he'll have to
So there you have it from the mouths of other fans this time, not coaches. So before we actually play the UMass game, I am going to be taking this bye week because our week 4 is a bye week, fortunately. Get a break after 3 insanely tough road games. They were all road games, by the way. I'm going to be taking this week to go ahead and do some recruiting and some scouting for Coach Cook and for myself, just to get to see the upcoming high school talent. So expect that video to be coming out shortly with some clips of our top talents in Utah. And then we'll see you the week after for the football game against UMass. Thanks for watching, y'all. Y'all have a great day.